How was the ark built, and how exactly was it used? A group of exiles in the desert were required to build a deadly holy object with millimeter-level precision. Any mistake meant death. Why does this seemingly ordinary golden object possess such deadly power? Why does touching it cause instant death? Today we will reveal the complete technical process of building the ark, and how the ark was carried into battle by a group of ancient warriors. And when the ark stepped into the slaughter of the battlefield, what kind of power did it unleash? Where exactly is the ark now? Stay tuned until the end, and you will find the final answer about the ark and the mystery behind this holy object. At the summit of Mount Sinai, God personally called Moses and gave a shocking command to build an unprecedented holy object, the Ark of the Covenant. It must be built to exact dimensions, using the most precious materials and following extremely strict craftsmanship. If any step went wrong, the entire holy object would completely lose its function. But the first challenge was extremely severe. Who could undertake this construction? The Israelites had been brick slaves for 400 years and had just escaped Egypt. They had no professional workshops or precision tools. Yet what God demanded was top-tier gold crafting standards. Such specifications required a master-level craftsman. So the solution appeared in a miraculous way. God personally chose a man, Bezalel from the tribe of Judah. The Bible records, God filled him with the Holy Spirit, not for prophecy, not to lead armies, but to endow Bezalel with the wisdom to work with his hands. God made Bezalel skilled in gold, silver, and bronze, in cutting stones, and in precise wood carving. This chosen craftsman, 30-year-old Bezalel, and his assistant Oholiab from the tribe of Dan, undertook this sacred mission. However, beyond technology, there was a bigger problem: materials. How did these Israelites wandering in the desert acquire enough gold to overlay this entire huge chest inside and out? Exodus tells us that before leaving Egypt, the Israelites asked the Egyptians for articles of silver, gold, and clothing. Terrified by the 10 plagues, the Egyptians gave all their treasures to the Israelites. On the surface, it seemed the Israelites took the Egyptians' things, but this was not theft. The Israelites had been slaves in Egypt for 400 years, enduring immense labor without receiving any pay. The gold and silver given by the Egyptians were thus seen as back wages for this slavery. So when construction began, the gold, melted earrings, and broken bracelets people brought actually far exceeded what was needed. So Moses had to order them to stop donating. But besides gold, there were even rarer materials. God required acacia wood. Acacia wood, also known as shittim wood, is a hard, dense tree species that grows in the desert and is almost indestructible. This ensures the holy object can withstand long transport and wear. Next was the fabric: fine linen, wool, and purple-dyed threads for the curtains. But there is a detail here that few people notice. Ancient purple was the most expensive dye in the world. Extracting a gram of dye required crushing thousands of marine mollusks. It was more precious than gold. Yet what God required was whole bundles of thread in this color. How did exiles in the desert possess whole bundles of this material that only pharaohs could use? They likely obtained these rare fabrics, which Egypt acquired through trade when they asked for gold and silver. So Bezalel gathered all these things together, molten gold, cut wood, extremely expensive fabrics, and began to assemble a holy object that would instantly kill anyone who touched it without authorization. So how did this craftsman, endowed with wisdom by God, under a zero-tolerance death command, successfully complete this deadly super project? The first iron rule of building the ark was absolute zero tolerance for error. The dimensions had to strictly follow God's instructions. 2.5 cubits long, a cubit and a half wide, and a cubit and a half high. God gave specific numbers. An error of even a finger's width would mean failure. Bezalel began cutting the acacia wood boards. He likely used a rope with precisely spaced knots, because not a single cut could deviate. But wood alone was far from enough. Next came the first deadly challenge, gold overlay. God commanded that the ark be overlaid with pure gold, inside and out. But the problem was, pure gold is too soft to simply stick gold sheets onto wood. Bezalel had to hammer the gold until it was malleable enough, but not so thin that it would break at a touch. So Bezalel carefully hammered the gold sheets and used natural resin as an adhesive to fix them, ensuring every inch of wood was covered by gold without flaw, because if wood was exposed, the ark would be rejected. The final product was a 3-layer complete structure, the hardest acacia wood in the center, overlaid with pure gold inside and out. This structure made the ark extremely heavy, weighing about 150 kilograms. A gold molding was added to the top, not for decoration, but for structural reinforcement to protect the edges from damage during transport. But that's not all. Modern researchers have found that the ark's 3-layer structure of gold, wood, and gold is actually identical to a giant capacitor. Gold is a conductor, wood is an insulator, and another layer of gold is a conductor again. If the ark were carried in the dry desert, it could accumulate static charge. It would act like a primitive super battery, storing massive voltage. And the cherubim carved on top acted like the discharge points of a Tesla coil, concentrating the electricity at a single point. If someone with a different charge touched the ark, tens of thousands of volts of static electricity could instantly pierce the body, causing immediate death. But at that moment, Bezalel knew none of this. All his focus was on completing this holy cover. The holy image Bezalel carved on it would become the holiest, and also the most dangerous place on earth. The ark was finished, but at this moment it was empty. What exactly was placed inside to make the power of this golden holy object even stronger? The first item is the tablets of the law. These are the 10 commandments God carved with his own finger on Mount Sinai. But few people know that these were not the first batch of tablets. When Moses first came down the mountain and saw the people had turned away from God to worship the golden calf, Moses was furious and smashed the tablets to pieces. Later, God told Moses to chisel 2 new stone tablets and go up the mountain again. Amidst clouds and thunder, God rewrote the 10 commandments. This second batch of tablets was carefully placed in the ark, becoming the core of Israel's faith. The second item is Aaron's rod. At that time, people questioned why Aaron should be high priest, so God arranged a special selection. He had everyone place 12 rods before the tabernacle overnight. The next day, the other rods were still dead wood, but Aaron's rod had miraculously budded, blossomed, and even produced almonds. So God commanded that this rod be kept inside the ark as physical evidence of his choice of Aaron. The third item is manna. This was the food God provided daily during the Israelites' 40 years of wandering in the wilderness. Normally, if anyone tried to keep manna until the next day, it would rot and stink. But the portion placed in the ark remained miraculously fresh. No refrigeration, no preservatives, just perfectly preserved by an invisible power. The three items inside the ark. The tablets represent God's law, the rod represents divine authority, and the manna represents heavenly provision. Together they witnessed the holiness and power of the ark. But to approach or move the ark, strict laws had to be followed. The right to carry the ark belonged only to the Levites of the Kohathite family, but even they had to undergo strict purification rituals before the mission. They had to purify their bodies and offer sacrifices beforehand, otherwise the consequences would be deadly. When setting out, priests first covered the ark with layers of curtains, badger skins, and blue cloth. Then the poles were inserted. No one was allowed to touch the chest of the ark directly. This was the rule that caused death. The Levites carried the ark's poles on their shoulders, walking in sync. If someone in the group stumbled, causing the ark to shake violently, human instinct would urge him to reach out and steady the holy object. And this is exactly what happened to Uzzah. When King David decided to bring the ark back to Jerusalem, he made a deadly mistake that violated the sacred command. David abandoned the ancient rule of carrying the ark on shoulders and chose a newly made ox cart, a practical innovation, but one explicitly forbidden by God. They put the ark on a new cart and had oxen pull it. At first, everything seemed calm, and the cart moved steadily. But suddenly the oxen stumbled. The cart shook violently, and the ark teetered. Uzzah, standing nearby, saw this and hurriedly reached out to steady it. He touched the ark and died on the spot. But death by touch wasn't the only danger. This most holy object had been taken into epic ancient battlefields in the past. And when the ark stepped into the bloody killing fields, what kind of power would it unleash? Whenever the Israelites went to war, the ark would accompany the army. But this wasn't simply treating it as a piece of military equipment. The procedure for transporting the ark was extremely strict, becoming a strategic arrangement full of mysterious power. Before every battle, Israel's leaders would consult God before the ark, using sacred stones called Urim and Thummim. These two stones were kept in the high priest's breastplate. Through them, leaders could receive God's instructions, whether to march or retreat. If God's answer was no, even if they chose to take the ark, the result would surely be catastrophic. The placement of the ark was also crucial. It was often placed prominently in the army's formation to ensure everyone could see that they were being led by the ark. The effect of this arrangement was remarkable. For the Israelites, they fought with absolute confidence because they knew God was present. For the enemies, they fought with fear because they knew they were facing not only Israel's army, but also an invincible God. Thus, the ark was not only a symbol of battle, but also a powerful spiritual backing for the Israelites. But for the enemy, it was an invisible oppression and threat. The best proof of the ark's power is the devastating end of the walls of Jericho. This fortress was considered impregnable at the time, towering and solid. But led by the ark, Israel's warriors and priests marched around the walls. Once a day for 6 days, 7 priests blew trumpets in front. On the 7th day, they marched around the city 7 times. When the trumpets sounded, the people shouted in unison. The walls collapsed in an instant. This scene was shocking, but it was not purely a military strategy. What was at work behind the ark was God's supernatural power. But there is a deadly, crucial detail. The ark's power could only be unleashed if the Israelites were in complete obedience to God. Once in history, the Israelites mistakenly took the ark to fight the Philistines. They had not received God's instruction beforehand, and they themselves were in serious sin, naively thinking that as long as the holy object was present, they would automatically win. The result was catastrophic. 30,000 soldiers were killed, and the ark was captured by the enemy. This defeat was more painful than any military setback. But after the ark was taken, the Philistines discovered it was no ordinary trophy. It brought disasters more terrible than defeat. After contacting the ark, the Philistines faced God's wrath successively. Disasters followed one another until they could no longer bear it and sent the ark back to Israel. It must be said the rules for using the ark were quite deadly. But after centuries of glory and punishment, this mobile battlefield forbidden zone actually disappeared from history. In 586 BC, the Babylonians invaded Jerusalem and burned Solomon's temple to ruins. When soldiers rushed into the Holy of Holies, they found the ark was gone. Currently, there are 3 main theories about the ark's whereabouts. The first theory: the ark was destroyed by the Babylonians, the gold melted down and taken away as bullion. But no Babylonian records mention capturing gold in the shape of the ark. King Nebuchadnezzar's list detailed every gold item looted from the temple, but failed to mention the ark. If such an important holy object were taken, it couldn't have gone unrecorded. The second theory: priests hid the ark in advance in a secret chamber beneath the Temple Mount. This theory has gained some archaeological support. Modern excavations have found dozens of sealed chambers beneath the western wall. They lead directly to the foundation area of the Temple Mount. But due to complex local political and religious conflicts, these chambers remain inaccessible today. In 1981, a rabbi named Yehuda Getz, while digging a tunnel under the western wall, discovered a sealed corridor leading to the Temple Mount. He firmly believed the ark was in that area. But after the news leaked, Muslim authorities immediately sealed the passage with cement and forbade further digging. So this hidden theory became even more confusing. The third theory: legend has it that the son of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba took the ark to Ethiopia. It is now kept in the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion in Axum. There is a guardian there, chosen from childhood to guard the ark for life. He never leaves the church and allows no one to approach. Before dying, he selects a successor and passes on the secret. This tradition has continued for hundreds of years. The current guardian says he has seen the ark, but refuses to describe it and allows no photography or scientific investigation. Today, many Israeli archaeologists believe the ark is hidden deep in secret spaces beneath the Jerusalem Temple Mount. However, due to ongoing political sensitivity and tensions between local Jews and Muslims, any deep excavation is strictly prohibited, so no one can verify it. Perhaps for us believers in the New Testament era, the whereabouts of the ark is no longer an important issue. What we truly seek is not a lost golden chest, but that eternal promise. Because God's presence is no longer limited to the Holy of Holies in the temple, but through the blood of Christ, dwells in the heart of everyone who trusts in Him. Alright, that's it for today's video. If you liked it, please like and leave a comment. Here we will continue to explore the mysteries of the Bible and the truth of Christ in depth. Follow me and don't miss any spiritual pursuit. And if you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the subscribe button. See you next time. Bye-bye.